Hello and welcome to another domination battle on the channel. We have for today Dwarves versus Lizardmen, bringing in some cannons, slayers, longbeards, Norgrim's Ironbreakers, Dwarf Wars with great weapons. So you have a Thorgrim and Runesmith with Rune of Slowness, Rune of Wrath and Ruin, and the Hammer of Duras for that minus 40 melee attack for 50 seconds, and three very hidden, very sneaky miners of blasting charges. For my opponent, has brought in some skink skirmishers, feral cold ones, Saurus wars with shields, two skink soaked cohorts, the very scary shredder of Lustria, and the bruised banana slan of life. You know, some blood statue of the spine and other various, healing spells for the big old dread saurian. So do summon in some gyrocopter with brimstone guns for their anti-large. Lizardmen will typically probably bring in some very large target. As a response, my opponent does bring in some pterodon riders with fire leash bolas. They do have better melee stats with good old 6 melee defense from the gyrocopters, so definitely don't want to get them in melee with anything. We are flying overhead. We're going to pop some shots to the shredder of Lustria. Sees it starts walking away. It does a little bit of damage, just a little chunk damage from one volley, and over time it will definitely add up. But we do end up pulling back because my opponent is bringing in some more skirmishing units. I figure I'll just kind of play back, get objective 3, kind of just sit on the point and see how the battle progresses. Opponent does start to capture objective 2 and his home objective 1. And I did remember that the gyrocopters do have a bombardment ability, so I'm kind of memeing around, taking way too much damage in the process just to try and drop some bombs. We do finally end up dropping some bombs on the skink skirmishers, but not really doing a whole lot. Take it down. Looks like 9 models for pretty much more than half our HP gone, and not just like memeing around, running around. The cannons are firing down onto the banana slan, kind of missing a few shots, landing into the Saurus wars with shields. So we'll take casualties where we can get them. In the low ground, we do end up summoning in some more cannons and longbeards. My opponent does bring out some more pterodons, fire leech bolas. And up here, I don't have a good way of fighting off the pterodons because I don't have any ranged units up here just yet. I am waiting on some supplies, so maybe I should have held off down here on summoning the cannons, but those cannons will be shooting. Their target is the shredder of Lustria for now. They see these pterodon riders are just throwing their little bolas down, and over time they're going to beat up the cannons. We do finally get enough supplies to summon in some thunderers. I do sit in the gyrocopters into melee to kind of stop the shooting onto my cannons. Gyrocopters are going to lose this any day of the week, but I got to do what I got to do. But it does end up summoning in an ancient salamander. Ancient salamander, I feel like can do good if it's able to just sit back and shoot into infantry. So we do have some skink skirmishers coming in. Slayers surprisingly do catch them. Rune of Slowness does go down with these terror riders as they back off. They decide that it's not really worth it to fight the gyrocopters while thunderers are in the backfield. The more pterodons do come in, these miners they're biding their time. They're waiting. They're watching. Skink skirmishers are ran off by our brave little dwarves. Regrowth does go down onto the shredder of Lustria, start to healing him back up from all the damage he's been taking from these cannons. And I'm okay with this. I'm all right with sitting back for now and just value trading. As long as the shredder of Lustria is over there and not over here, I'm okay with it. The shots do go down on the pterodons, though we're no longer obstructed, thankfully. But they do get down onto the cannons. run back our runesmith to drop the hammer on them, so then they'll have 0 attack once it's popped. So these cannons, though they're being attacked, they're completely safe. And Thunderers can just get off point blank shots on these big old chickens. We have our Slayers. They did end up kind of overextending, but they do get into the Feral Cold ones. Believe that they're going to win this fight, but after they win the fight, they'll be gone, drug through the mud by the little skinks. We do have a good defending force for the cannons. We now have 2 Thunderers up here. Gyrocopters are running down the Pterodon Riders to make sure they rout off the battlefield. And though the miners are no longer hidden, they are waiting. They are ready. We have our Dwarf Warriors Great Weapons running up. King Skirmishers will be able to, well, skirmish them, kind of run away, pop shots off into them. The Shredder Illustria now, he smells blood and he's ready. He is getting closer and closer to his healing cap, so with the continuous cannon fire into him, is finally kind of drug him down. Where killing him now it'll be a lot easier than what it was. Do call in some more Longbeards to kind of be a defending force for these cannons. These King Skirmishers have gotten in behind them, but they're still being chased down by these Longbeards. Not really taking a lot of damage, but we're very slow, but we will eventually catch you. Thorgrim does go out to fight some Feral Cold ones. We do see the Ancient Salamander starting to shoot into Norgrim's Iron Breakers. We do have a nice blasting charge shots going down on them, kind of routing them instantly. So right now, with Dwarves, it's going to be kind of like a slow grinding fight at the beginning. Not a lot like heavy fighting will be going on for us. The Thunderers are shooting into the Shredder Illustria. We do pop the Rune of Slowness in case he decides to try and pull him out with 33 speed. He's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. We do summon in some more Gyrocopters, kind of help out anywhere that they may or may not be needed. But my opponent still has a firm grasp on Objective 2 and isn't really being confronted over here at Objective 1. We do have some Slayers over here that could probably run over here and fight the King Skirmishers, but they've been forgotten to the winds. Pterodon Riders do get onto the cannons. Should be sending these Longbeards back here to help fight the Pterodon Riders off the cannons, but that's neither here nor there because I really want to get down the Shredder Illustria, which we do. The Shredder Illustria down, the cannons will be changing their fire over here to the Ancient Salamander. Norgrim's Iron Breakers are going to kind of just be holding it in place. We do see I believe that's called, Shield of the Old Ones, giving it 20% damage reduction or resistance, so it'll be a little bit tankier than normal. Smith going after the Banana Slan, along with Thorgrim, also trying to slowly chase down the Banana Slan. The Skin Cohort's going to be charging into the Longbeards. Longbeards, they'll take this fight with their 48 melee defense and 30 melee attack. But it does summon in some Saurus Warriors with shields. So far, again, like I said, it's just we're slowly moving up. I'm more than happy to kind of sit back here with my cannons and shoot back. I think we've pretty much dealt with the aerial threats of my opponent. So the backfield is pretty much, at this point, it's pretty much safe. Do bring in some more Slayers, just in case they do have any, like, Feral Cold ones, kind of trying to wrap around. Right now, we're just pit fighting. We do see a bound spell. I believe this is Banishment, right? That's what it's called, Banishment. Yeah, coming down. Basically for our magic resistance, we don't take too much damage, and unfortunately for him, it does start to get into these poor Saurus Warriors and do a little bit more damage than he would have liked to them. The Thunderers do get up close, firing into the Ancient Salamander. We do see the glorious fighting down here. The mighty Dwarves going against the mighty Lizards. as the gyrocopters fly overhead, firing into the pterodons. Yeah, at this point, the cannons will be firing into the banana slant, doing a lot of damage. Not a lot of armor on the old banana slant at 45, but these cannons are happy to fire into a stationary target. We'll kind of sit here and watch the cannons fly in. Here comes one, hitting them. Doing a fair little bit of damage, and then the rest of the shots just drain his HP. Going to summon in some more skink cohorts. As our iron drakes do slowly. That's one thing about dwarves, they are very slow. Takes us a little bit to get on points and whatnot. We finally managed to kind of get at this little fancy little side angle downhill, shooting into these skink cohorts, and it's starting to get hot in here. This fire does come down. We do kind of hit the longbeards, but most of the shots are firing into the skink cohorts, routing them instantly, bringing up these longbeards to do whatever, and we're slowly getting points. Or not really points, but getting weight onto the capture point objective 2. But it does come in with Geltblum's Terror, I believe that's what it's called. It's the ROR Carnosaur, but Thunderers in the backfield are able to kind of fire into it, along with the Hammer of Correct, bringing its melee attack down to about 15. So it's not getting the full value that you could be getting out of it, because it's swinging as hard as, I don't know, like skinks basically. Pro cold ones will be getting into these iron drakes. Iron drakes having 125 armor that will be kind of resistant to the charge and follow-up attacks. We do bring in some iron breakers to kind of free them up from that fight. But as the battle is going on, I'm kind of noticing the points here, and we can't stop at a double cap. I do need a triple cap in order to win this, because if I just have objective 2 and objective 3, he will win with just holding one objective. So it's slowly becoming oh no, I need to quickly get over here with dwarfs. So very slowly we will start to kind of push up from objective 2, try and go over here to objective 1. As my opponent will probably try and kind of focus the forces onto objective 1, but I'm trying to catch them out while I still can before he realizes that, oh, I just need to hold this objective. As we see the longbeards kind of chasing off all these skink cohorts, just to make sure they don't come back and give him extra weight onto the objective. And surprisingly enough, this Ironbreaker ROR, though down to 29 models, about 1000 HP, they're happy to be in the fight. They kind of move up. They do have some blasting charges left. They'll probably throw into the skink cohort. As these longbeards fight these skink cohorts, longbeards will, I want to say they'll win it, even though they are very beat up with their high melee defense and decent melee attack and 100 armor. The skink cohort not really having any armor piercing. I believe the longbeards will grind them down. And now that all the dwarven forces have gathered together, the mighty dwarf charge is on the way. Skink cohort do charge into the iron breakers. They will be backed up by the iron drakes, kind of roasting some dwarves, but they know what they've signed up for, being a kind of a wall unit. We're down to 834 HP with 25 models left. I don't know why or how. Which, granted, dwarf leadership's high, but I don't know if it's like if it should be that high. But this is an ROR unit. They are a tier 4 unit, so you get what you pay for. They're very expensive. As the ancient salamander does shoot into these thunderers, we do try and send in some longbeards to kind of hold down the shooting. We are firing kind of uphill into these skink skirmishers. A lot of the shots are going to be going into the terrain, unfortunately. We do send in some Thunderers. Unfortunately, they are kind of at a bad angle, so they'll have to get up on top of the hill if they do decide to start shooting. See this feral connoisseur battling these long beards. We have slowly made our way onto objective 1. Brimstone gunners kind of just surveying the battlefield, shooting at really whatever comes into range. I believe they're firing. No, they are not, unfortunately. So they're just kind of they're sitting there. But the dwarven forces have finally ever so slowly made it onto objective 1, and we do start taking it. These iron breakers are starting to move up to these king skirmishers. Hopefully they'll rout, but it is what it is. We're currently at 722 HP at 25 bottles. We do land the brimstone gunners to add a little bit more capture weight. We are taking objective 1. We do have more weight on it than the opponent, naturally, with all these hardy dwarves. And whatever is left will be taking a hot bath in fire. We do have some minor blasting charges protecting objective 3. Objective 2 kind of wide open. You know, we have unsummoned the cannons. They're no longer needed. Any like low model count units, we do kind of unsummon. Norgrim's iron breakers do get into the sacred coxagors, and I think this is where the Norgrim iron breakers kind of meet their match. We're very low in HP. Just do have the rune of slowness pop down onto these sacred coxagors in case they do decide to run. But the iron breakers will have some reinforcements of Thorgrim, gyrocopters, and longbeards, and we'll kind of see if they kind of hold out. The point values are kind of closing into our favor. I do now have the hiccups, unfortunately, in this recording, but it is what it is. As we do see these skink skirmishers getting on to objective 2, and I don't notice it right away, and it's could be bad. Feral cold ones do end up getting into some thunderers. Players are coming in to kind of help along with the runesmith. We do bash back the sacred coxagors as the iron breakers are still 231 HP at 13 models. They're here for it. They are ready to fight as fire leech bolas do, I believe, drop some rocks on us. They're flying in the air, but since they're not landing on the ground, they're not really providing any capture weight. They're just kind of there. Thunderers are firing into them. They do get back into the Thunderers, but we have too much capture weight from the start going in his favor. And objective 2 is about 50% in his favor. Little close on points. He does end up capturing this point. I don't know, actually. If he does end up capturing that point, would we still win or would we lose at this point? But a lot of dwarven reinforcements do come in to kind of fight these skink skirmishers, bringing the point back into our favor. Objective 1 is held down. Objective 3 is held down. Objective 2 is coming back in our favor. And this dwarf force is just, they've held out. They've done their job. These iron breakers, I still, again, 76 HP with 7 models. That is, I give them the MVP. But that is the battle. We'll kind of look at values here. I do feel like, well, I don't know. If it was a little bit more aggressive, maybe. Which then again, the same argument could be if I was a little bit more aggressive, you know, it wouldn't have kind of come down to the wire at that point. The Slayer's getting in, you know, some nice kills, decent values. The cannons will have high values because the only things they were shooting into was Shredder Illustra and Banana Slam. I do like the Runesmith's Hammer of Karak. It, you know, being able to pick a unit and being like, all right, minus 40 melee attack on you. Good. These cannons, of course, great value on them. Longbeards, you know, doing what they need to do, kind of holding the line with our DPS units being the Thunderers, bringing in some very good value. For our opponent here, Shredder Illustra unfortunately didn't get a lot of, you know, targets early on. He kind of just had to sit there with cannon fire throwing into him. Sacred Croxagore is bringing in some very decent unit with 135 kills and 1300 value. What else did up our? I believe the Saurus Wars with shields paid for themselves. This one got close. This one definitely paid for themselves. You know, so on and so forth. But thank you for opponent coming in and doing another battle with me. I really appreciate him, and he's been a kind of a huge help in learning domination battles. But until next time, goodbye.